All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Nicole, and welcome back to our English class. I hope your day is going great so far. Now, all right. So yesterday we started diving into the super interesting world of word stress, and we had a good go at understanding what it is and why it's important for clear pronunciation. Remember how we talked about stressing the right part of a word, which can totally change its meaning or make it easier for others to understand us, like the difference between present versus present. No, present as a gift and present to give something. So those kind of things. Today we are going to pick up right where we left off. We will be looking at some more patterns and rules for word stress. And of course, we'll get to practice even more so if it feels natural when you are speaking. Okay? So get ready to really tune into those sounds. We are going to continue with word stress, and we are going to continue with a short activity. This is just an activity as a you know um in relation to what we have discussed already yesterday, just to check if you are following really with me with yesterday's discussion. So I want to start with an activity, and it will be very simple. Okay? What I want you to do here is to identify which of the two, you know, which of the two pronunciation versions of a word is referring to the meaning that I will be mentioning. Okay? Say for example, um, this one, let's have the first one. If I say, let's pronounce it first. Address. 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 Which of the two is talking about location? Address. Address. The word on the screen is address, so it's spelled the same in both versions as well as for the following words. But depending on where the stress goes, the meaning changes completely. So, what do you think? What do you think is which of the two versions of pronunciation of this word is referring to location? Yes, this is the first one, address. Uh, Address, yeah, with a stress on the first syllable. Because this particular, when we talk about location, we are referring to a name, right? And a name is considered as what in part of speeches. It is a noun. Okay? Like for example, if you're asking what's your home address? The um the word address here or the word address there is used as a noun. No? They're referring to a location. So in this case, it's a place or location. So we're referring to a noun, and the rule for a noun usually is the first syllable is stressed, right? Remember on the topic that we've discussed or we've delved on yesterday. That's the rule for that. Okay. How about for, of course, there's no other options. The second version, address, where the second syllable is stressed, we're referring to speaking. We like I'd like to address the team about tomorrow's meeting, something like that. So that is used as a verb. And remember on our discussion yesterday, verb is usually what? The words or yeah, the verbs, their pronunciation are usually focusing on stressing the second syllable. So here, the second syllable is dress, so we stressed that. No? We say address. Okay? Now here, it means to speak to or to deal with something. That's address in this case. Okay? All right. So let's try to say these versions again of the word address. Address. which is a noun because we're referring to a place or location. Address, it's a verb meaning to speak or handle something. Okay? All right. This is how we do it. All right, everyone. It's very easy, right? So again, we will um we will say the word, we will pronounce the words, or yeah, we will pronounce the different versions of the same word when it comes to pronunciation, depending on which of these syllables are stressed. We will pronounce that first, and then I will be asking which of the two is referring to this particular meaning. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the second one. Let's have this one. Okay. Say it with me. Content versus content. Okay, again, first word, we are stressed on the first syllable. Content, second syllable for the second one, content. Okay, again, content, content. All right. Now here, um, okay, I've already said one version of the word out loud. So listen and decide which of the two, content and content, is referring to this particular meaning. Okay. How about if I meant um information or material in something? No? Which of the two versions which of the two versions do you think I am referring to? Information or material in something? Is it content or content? Am I stressing on the first syllable here or the second syllable when it comes to defining something as a material or information with this particular word? Where do I put my stress here? What do you think? Well, yes, here we are going to put our stress on the first syllable, which is the first word. So when we stress on the first syllable, content, that is a noun. Okay? And since we are referring to a material or an information, and that material or information is a noun in itself, like when we say in a sentence, for example, the website has great content. Okay, the website has great information. The website has great material. So we're referring to that, and that's a noun. And again, the rule, usually the rule that is followed for a noun word is we are stressing on the first syllable. So it's content. Okay, content. That is what you also can see on the IPA transcription of the word. Again, I have provided also the IPA pronunciation of the word because this is really a great help for you when it comes to guiding your pronunciation. No? International Phonetic Alphabet. I've already did some lessons on that. If you're familiar with it already, that's good. If not yet, there are many online resources that you really can look up into, or you can look back to the videos that I made when it comes to IPA transcriptions. Okay. As you've noticed on the IPA transcription, there's this apostrophe. It's not called apostrophe because I forgot the name of the symbol, but it looks like an apostrophe, and it's placed between, not between, it's placed before the word, right? And again, as I've mentioned not earlier, yesterday, as I've mentioned yesterday, IPA transcription put apostrophe as a sign for stress. And they usually put it right before the stressed syllable. And our stressed syllable here again is con. So it's right before con, which means that con is our stressed syllable. No? If you see that the IPA transcription is like this, most likely we are referring to a noun because the stressed syllable is con. Okay? It's right before con, the apostrophe. How about this one? Look, take a look at it. What do you call that? The apostrophe is right in the middle, but it's before the second syllable. So we are going to stress the second syllable here, tent. Okay, that's how we read IP transcription, especially when we're trying to look for the stress on the word. Okay, the stress usually is represented by this symbol, and this particular symbol, like an apostrophe, is placed before, right before the stressed syllable. Okay? All right. Since we're talking about the second version of this word already, where we stressed on the second syllable, let's look on that. Content. Again, content. Now, this second syllable, I am referring to the feeling of being satisfied or maybe at peace. There's satisfaction on it. So that's A. What kind of part of speech is that? When you are satisfied, when you're at peace, you are, that is an adjective. So, for example, in a sentence, maybe you'll say, she feels very content with her life. No, she feels very satisfied with her life. That's how we use it. So, of course, there's a clear difference between the two versions. Although there are times that some words in an English, in an English communication, English setting, there are words that has subtle differences when it comes to stressing some syllables on the word. But that subtle difference, it's still important. And this one, although, yeah, let's try to say it once again. Content, content. No, there's really this difference, but be careful when it comes to really really practicing these words in the communication, especially in a conversational setting where we are really not going to stick or solidly stick on into the different how do you call that, rules when it comes to communication, because that's conversational English. So we try to adapt our communication with how native English speakers communicate. And usually native English speakers, if you've noticed yourself, they do not usually, not all the times, but usually they don't really follow the exact proper grammarization of the sentence, as well as the stresses, all those English rules when it comes to writing as well as communicating. No, they're not totally strict they're not totally strict with it when it comes to those things, those rules. It's in a conversational setting, but it's not the same with other contexts like business setting, in a meeting, in a professional context, in a presentation, all those contexts. That's another topic. Na, we should be able to at least how do you call that? We should be able to at least know or be very familiar with the different rules when it comes to English communication, because that's how we should do it in that particular context. Although we can we can try to not totally strictly follow the rules when it comes to conversational English, no? There's this a bit of freedom when it comes to talking and writing in English, in conversational English, most specifically. Okay? So again, this one, say both with me slowly. Say it with me. Okay? First, content. Second, content. Okay? Now a little faster. Content, content. So here that shift in the energy, it's like the spotlight moves to, a different part of the word. So changing the meaning entirely. Okay? That's how subtleness, it's very subtle, but it changes the whole word in itself. No? That's why English is really complicated in many, many ways. And this is just one of the many. Okay? Now, Your turn. I'll say the word with stress and you guess which meaning it is. That's for that content and content. I've already mentioned the answers. Let's see if you can remember them. If I'm talking about being satisfied, which of the version am I talking about? She smiled, finally feeling content. Which one is it? This is an adjective, no? So that's the second version. We stress on the second syllable. Let's do one more. Material or information. I've already talk about that. There's no other option. There's still no other option. So we are referring to the first word, content. Okay. The students created their own content for the project. That's the noun. No? Stress on the first syllable. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next word. We have here decrease. Sorry. Decrease. Decrease. Again. Decrease. Decrease. Okay? That's the um that's the two versions of this word. So we've seen this pattern before, and sorry, this word follows it too. The noun version has the stress on the first syllable, while the verb version has a stress on the second. Okay? One word has two meanings depending on how you say it. So let's break it down. Decrease versus decrease. Uh, decrease versus decrease. Now, when I'm referring to a reduction or drop in something, like there was a decrease in sales last month, something like that. What is that? Is it a noun or a verb? Yes, it's a noun. So, most likely we are referring to the first version of the word where we stress on the first syllable. How about the second word? Decrease. We are talking about, this is a verb, no? And we're talking about to reduce or to make something lower. Like, for example, we need to decrease our spending this month. Okay? See how just changing the stress from the first syllable to the second gives us a completely different role and use? Let's say each one clearly together. Decrease, decrease. Okay? Now it's your turn. I'll say the word in one of the two stress patterns. You listen, decide if it's the noun or the verb, and then try making your own sentence using it. Decrease, decrease. When I mention decrease, stressing on the second syllable, like in a sentence, they're hoping for a decrease in pollution this year. I'm referring to what kind of part of speeches? Is it noun or a verb? Yes, that's the verb. Okay. How about this? The first one, decrease. It's a noun, of course. There's no other options. All right, that's for this word. Next. Okay, the opposite of decrease, increase. Now, just like the others that we have practiced, this one changes meaning depending on where we put the stress. Now, increase, we stress on the first syllable here. So this version is what? It's a noun. It means growth. Okay? Like when we're saying there was an increase in student this year, so there's growth over that. Okay? And the second version, increase, you stress on the second syllable. And of course, that is what? What kind of speech? That is what kind of speech? That is verb. Okay? Like we say in a sentence, we need to increase our vocabulary. Okay? And of course, we mean it as grow. So the first version with the first syllable being stressed, increase, we're talking about growth. Well, the other one, increase, second syllable, stressed, it's a verb. We're talking about grow. Okay? So same spelling, different beat, different meaning. Okay? Say it with me again. Increase, 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 increase. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next one. We have here export, export. Again, export, export. So just like the others that we've practiced, if this word changes its meaning and function depending on where you place the stress. Okay? Export versus export. When we're talking about a product or maybe an item being sent to another country, like yeah, which of the version do you think am I referring to? Yes, it I am referring to export. Okay? Export. Be first syllable being the stressed syllable, okay? I'm talking about that. We can use it in a sentence like saying coconut oil is a major export of the Philippines. Okay? The next and the second one, that's the last one because there's no other version. We're referring here to a verb form of the word. So it's um export. So it's the act of shipping. Okay? It means the action of sending goods or data out. Okay? Like saying, we plan to export more local goods next year. Something like that. So we stress on the second syllable. First syllable again is a noun. Second syllable is a verb. Okay? One more time. Say it like you mean it. Export. Export. Again, export, export. Now I'll say one of the two. You listen and decide is it a noun or a verb. The farmers hope to export their crops overseas. Which one is it? Yes, it's a verb. Okay, that's good. All right, let's move on to the next one, of course. We have here object, object. Again, object, object. So it's spelled the same both ways, but depending on how we stress the word, the meaning and function totally change. So when I'm referring um to maybe what I'm referring to a verb, meaning I am trying to disagree or to say no. Which of the two versions do you think am I referring to? The one with the first syllable stressed or the second syllable stressed? Again, it's a verb and I am intending to disagree or to say no to someone or something. What do you think? Like in a sentence maybe I must object to that statement. I must oppose, I must disagree to that statement, something like that, okay? So I'm referring here to the second version where the stressed syllable is this on the second syllable, okay? That is on object. And the other one, object, no? That's the noun version of the word, meaning it's a thing, it's an item or something that you can touch. That's object, okay? We stress on the first syllable here. Now look at the IPA transcription. As you can see, it's the same with the first one, where the apostrophe is put right before the stressed syllable. Like this one on the first, the first syllable is stressed, so it's here right before it. And how about the second one? It's right before eject because that's the stressed syllable, right? So that's how we do some stressing. We check some stressing. We read some stressing of the IPA transcriptions. Okay? All right. And we have the last word rebel, rebel. Again, rebel, rebel. And just like the others that we have been practicing, it shows how one little change in stress can completely flip the meaning of the word. Okay? When I'm talking about a verb, meaning to resist or fight against control, like teenagers sometimes rebel against their parents. Which of the version am I referring to? Is it the first version with the first syllable stressed or the second version where the second syllable stressed? What do you think? Yes, I am referring to the second version. No, because I am talking about a verb. And usually the rule for the verbs, and when it comes to word stressing, is the how do you call that? How do you call that? The second syllable is The second syllable is stressed if and then it is considered as a verb. Okay, when it comes to verb, the second syllable is stressed, just like here, not just like this one. The second syllable is stressed, which is bell. Okay, that's it. While the first syllable, not first syllable, but first word where the first syllable is stressed, like rebel, again, rebel, that is, what kind of part of speech do you think it is? I am referring to a defier, no, a person who goes against rules or authority. I'm referring to that. No, rebel. What do you think? The rebel refused to follow orders. No, that's a sample sentence. All right, that is on rebel. So rebel, again, rebel, noun, rebel, verb. Okay? All right. I'll give you maybe a sentence, no? And I want you to listen to the stress. Decide, is it the noun or the verb? Try saying the sentence yourself with the same rhythm, no? At your own comfortable spaces there. All right. This is the sentence. The citizens began to rebel against unfair law. Unfair law. Which one is it? That's the verb. Stress on the second syllable. Okay? All right. That's it for our quick drill to freshen up our minds, to wake up our minds. Not the quick drill, but yeah, it's a no, just to really see for myself that what we talked about yesterday is really clear to you. Okay? And what's a good way to do that? Of course, with drills. Okay? All right. Let's have for today, we're going to continue with word stress patterns. Okay? Again, word stress patterns. Sorry for that. All right. So, since we've already kicked things off with a strong start yesterday, and of course, you all did an amazing job learning, listening, as well as speaking with more confidence, today we're picking up right where we left off with that word stress patterns. Okay? Let's just take it slowly. I don't want you to intimidate, I don't want you to be overwhelmed. That's the right term. I don't want you to be overwhelmed with all the concepts that I included in my presentations for the word stress or the stress, English stress in general. May it be a word or a sentence. That's why I already made it clear yesterday that this particular topic will not be done in one sitting or in one session because although, yes, it's very simple, you will get the idea immediately, but that's a fundamental topic that we should be understanding really deeply. That's why I really break it down into manageable chunks so that you can be able to truly grasp the concepts of these words or of these topics. Okay? Now let's move on with word stress patterns. Okay? We have this one for a moment. Um okay. I'm sorry for that. Okay. I'm sorry for that. All right. Let's move on to word stress patterns. Now, as you can see, this is just, a continuation of what we talked about yesterday and what we practiced earlier. So, I've provided a table just for you to really see the differences between the words in a noun, in a verb, as well as an adjective. So I've also provided some words in an adjective, although it's not the same word that is practiced in the noun or the verb versions. Okay? I just provided it just for also a reference, although it's not the same word. That's should be what you're expecting. Okay? So that's that. Um So take a look at this table. Like, everyone, put your attention into it, the table. So here at first glance, we all these words look the same, right? Because it's the same word. Okay. Well, same spelling, same letters, but depending on where we put the stress, the stronger, the louder, the how do you call that? Yeah, the louder part of the word, we get different meanings. So in English, this often helps us decide whether we're using a noun, we're using a verb, or we're using an adjective. Okay, let's walk through these examples together. Okay, all right. Let's have the first one. Record. Now, record, no, have you ever held a vinyl record? So it's thick, it spins, and it holds music from decades past. So a record stores memory. It is something we can listen to, look at, or file away. Okay, the stress sits on the first syllable because that's what we are naming a thing, an object, a noun. Whether it's a music record, a school record, or a world record, we are talking about something that was kept and preserved. Okay? Second version of it is on the verb record. I'm sorry, not that. Record. Again, record. So when you say record, you're doing something. You are taking sound, motion, data, and capturing it in real time. So to record is to act. You speak into the mic, you press the red circle on your phone. The stress now moves to the second syllable because the action is what matters. Now think of it like this: the noun record, the first one, is the outcome, but the verb record is the creation, like what you're doing right now. Okay? That's on that. And we also have an adjective, a representative of it, although it's not the same word, just to also practice when it comes to this part of speeches. Here we stress also on the first syllable. Okay, record. Next, present, present, present. So it's when we talk about a gift, it's wrapped in shiny paper, tied with a ribbon, and handed to someone with love or celebration. We stress on the first syllable because we're naming a thing. The noun sits like a box, and it is solid. It is how do you call that? It is solid. For a moment. Yeah, it's solid. It's simple and ready to be opened. Okay, that's present. For present, we're standing in front of a room, we're offering ideas, we are delivering something. No, it's a verb, it's an action, and we hear that in school. S- Um, say, for example, present. So there's movement in the word, which is a reaching out. Okay, you're not giving a thing this time, you're giving an experience, an idea, your voice. Okay, like saying in a sentence, for example, I'd like to present my topic. Okay. When it comes to the adjective, it's um it's the same stressed on the with the noun. I'm sorry. With the noun. Okay. So present. The stress on the first syllable. And we're referring here to the current, no? The present time. So it's like saying um presently, no, not ly, but I am happy in the present, something like that. Okay, I'm referring to current. So when we try to use the words, all those versions of the words in the same sentence, we'll say, I'd like to present my presentation because I will be getting a present in the present. Okay, something like that. It is complicated in a way, but if you're familiar with it, if you're familiar with figures, not figures, but part of speeches, then it's not really that hard for you. Okay. All right. We move on to contract versus contract. Contract is the agreement. Contract is the we shrink. No. And our representative word is concrete, which is solid. Let's just read all the words and its particular meanings because we cannot really go over one by one, right? Okay. object, thing, object, oppose, obvious, clear, permit, license, permit, license, permit, allow, personal device. Okay? All right. So that's on something already. Next is increase versus increase. Increase, growth, increase, raise or grow. Inside, internal, that's the representative of it. Next is desert versus desert. Desert, noun, we're looking at the dry land. Desert is, of course, the second syllable here. So we're talking about an adjective. What do you think? Desert is abandon, everyone. Where the second syllable is stressed, we're referring to abandoning. Okay. Next is what word? Where am I? Subject. Again, subject. When we're referring to the culprit, he's the subject of the crime. Okay? Referring to what do you think? Of course, it's a noun. Okay? Subject. I'm sorry. Suspect. I'm sorry. Suspect. So suspect is the culprit, and then suspect the verb, the action word, which is it's the act of abandoning. Okay? And not abandoning, but being doubtful. Okay? In the adjective part, suspicious, instrumental. So yeah, I've already added so many here. But let's look at the next word, reject. Reject. Reject? Is it even, yeah, reject. Very subtle difference. First one is refusal, second one is refuse. Okay. The act, it's the act for the first word, and then the second column is um another version of it, no? Reject is refuse. Real is true. Okay? All right. A last word is insult, which is offense, the offense itself, it's noun, and insult, it's to offend. Okay? The verb, the action word, which means to resist. Okay? All right. That's on that. We shall move on to let's try to say all these words from the first syllable to the second syllable, okay? Say it with me. Record, record, present, present, contract, contract, object, object. Where am I? Permit, permit, increase, increase, desert, desert, suspect, suspect, and of course. Okay, that's that. Let's move on to some practice time, of course. If you've noticed, I've included so many practice time here, and I will be providing in the future because I really wanted you to practice yourself, to have this consistent practice, because I know that there might be some time that you are not totally free, no? Or if you're free, it's very quick. So let's try to focus on that first when it comes to pronounce, when it comes to content, and then the activities will be here, okay? All right. For a moment. Okay. Let's have some practice time. Sorry for that. Okay? All right. What are we going to do here for a moment? So what we are going to do here, as you can see, in the in your slides. So since you've learned so a lot so far from yesterday to today's discussion, but just like with any other exercises, understanding the technique is only one step. there's so much more because there are words that are really not stick into one syllable, two syllables, three syllables, four syllables, and five syllables even. Okay, so we've got to train our ears and voices the same. So these word stress patterns become automatic because the more we practice, the more natural your English will sound. Okay. And of course, the more confident you'll feel using it in the situations. All right. Okay. That's that. So, um, let's try to do that. For a moment. Okay. For this quick drill, I'm just gonna read first the whole sentence with both versions of a word is utilized or is used. And then, of course, we try to identify which of the two versions we are referring to. And of course, we must properly pronounce or read the whole sentence with the proper pronunciation of the word that is, highlighted in the sentence, or we are the word that we are going to focus for this sentence. Okay? All right. I did not put, because some earlier I've put some, I've capitalized with the first mention of this one. But of course, we try to practice as much as possible because that's how we can really adapt to these rules when it comes to English communication. So let's start. Let's begin with one of the most classic word pairs, record, record. No, the beauty of this sentence is that it uses both the noun and the verb forms of the word record. Okay, and that helps us here to shift clearly when it comes to this. So let's say the sentence: I'll record a song that on that old record. No, I'll record. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. I'll record a song on that old record. Okay? I'll record a song on that old record. That's on the first one. So, look at the second part first. Record. No, that old record. So we stress on the first syllable here. Record, so this makes it a noun because that's usually the stress, not the stress, yeah, the rule for this one. Okay, so something here we're referring to a thing, so it's something that you can touch, you can hold, you can collect even. No, a record is in this context, it's a physical item, usually a vinyl disc that stores music. So think of it like a time capsule of sound. That's record, where the first syllable is stressed. For record, the second syllable is stressed. It's a what kind of part of speeches do you think it is? It is. It's the verb. So we here record the pronunciation. Yeah, the stressed syllable is on the second one. Okay, cord, record, and record. So here a record in this context, it's a not a physical item, but the act of, it's an action, it's something that you do. So you want to record something, you'll say I'll record. No, I'll record a song on that old record. No, you press a button, you sing, you speak into the mic, and you're recording. No, there's an action word that you are. This is an action word basically. Okay, so again, this is I'll record. I'll record. I'm sorry. I'll record a song on that old record. Okay, as so yes, that's how we do this particular activity. And of course, I don't know if you noticed it, but hopefully you've noticed really some subtle differences between the two versions of the same word. Okay, all right, there's some rhythm into it, so let's just try to really look into the discussion. Okay, let's have the second one. Please present your present before the cake arrives. Again, please present your present before the cake arrives. Okay? So the word present here, it appears twice, and each time it means something completely different depending on the stress. Okay? Let's start with the last part. Present. No, please present your present. I mean present. So present. Here, I am. How do you call that? I am referring to the. Where am I? Present. I am referring to an action word of presenting. No, it's a verb basically. For the noun equivalent is present. Again, present. First syllable is stressed. Okay? Not present. All right? So again, please present your present before the cake arrives. Okay? That's on that. So the word present here, it's a noun for the I'm sorry, what happened? Yeah, this one. Let's go back for a bit. Here, the word it's a it's subtle. It's still a noun, and of course it means a gift. Now something wrapped maybe in with a bow that you give someone during a celebration, something like that. Okay? All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next. We have this one. No? Concrete. Oh. No, it's not the same word here. So let's just try to see still which part of speeches are used in these words. So the sentence is my concrete plan is written in the contract. Both words are not syllabicating, but putting stress on the first syllables, no, both words, because this is not the same word. It's quite different, okay? Concrete, contract. All right? Okay, we can do that. Now, first up, concrete, no? Like saying my concrete plan. The word concrete here, it is an adjective, no? It means how do you call that? It costs around, is it 200 plus? I forgot. But yeah, that's the price range, no, for this particular item. No, my concrete plan is written in the contract. So contract here, it's how do you call that? It's a whole different word with concrete because I cannot really put something with the same amount of words or in the title, and I it's the quick drills here is as much as possible. It's quick, but we should process everything, okay? So that we can really see if you are understanding what I'm saying so far, okay? Quick drill. My concrete plan is written in a contract. Both versions of the email are, you know, both versions of email are really in the work of progress in a way that the cover and everything, every material is just not really her. But anyway, that's already some great contributions, and they made so much effort to support this particular person. So let's try to not really invalidate what they have. Okay? All right. So even though bow, they both refers to the first syllable. Okay? Well, that's that. Okay? So here the word concrete, here it is an adjective. And while concrete can mean hard building material, in this sentence, take note, in the sentence, we are using it as figurative meaning, something solid, something specific, and something well defined. Okay, it's a concrete plan. It's not vague, it's detailed and structured. Now listen to the second. Okay, that is a noun. It refers to a legal agreement between with signed Binay. Is it signed Binay? I don't know. I forgot the name, but yeah, let's just not look into the Philippine context, but let's look at the context in general. So for concrete, it's an adjective. It means hard building material. Okay. All right. So that is on. My concrete plan is written in the contract. Concrete, in a way that we stress on the first syllable still here. A concrete plan is, it's detailed, it is structured. Okay. Contract, the plan is written in the contract. So, that's a possession, of course, and we're referring to contract. We're referring to a legal agreement, no, something written and signed by two parties. That's contract. Okay. All right. Next sentence we have here. He threw. I'm sorry. He threw the object but didn't object to the rules. Again, he threw the object but didn't object to the rules. Have you seen any pattern? Yes. Hopefully, there's a pattern that you can see where in the first version of the word, same word, object, it's a noun. And, you know, in a noun, it's usually first syllable, right? Second, we have he threw the object but didn't object to the rules. So object, okay? We're referring to that. All right? Okay. He threw the object but didn't object to the rules. The first word with the first syllable as stressed object, it's a, you know, it's a whole another thing. Here, object, sorry, where am I? Object, like saying he threw the object. Here, object is a noun, meaning a thing. No, it's something that we can really touch. It could be a rock, a book, a ball, maybe. Something you can touch or toss, no, all in all. That's that's object. That's the act of throwing the object. Okay? The stress is on the first syllable. It's steady, of course, it's solid, and as well as happy, you know, as much as possible. So he threw the object but didn't object to the rules. For the object, the second syllable being stressed here, it's referring to a what? What kind of part of speeches? Referring to another, I don't know what's this, but object, um how do you call that? It's a he threw the object but didn't object to the rule. So it's a verb, no? It's an action word basically. And when it comes to action word, we usually stress on the second part. Okay? All right. Okay? Again, he threw the object but didn't object to the rules. Okay. Next to that is this one. Um I I think that's the last one. Okay, that's the last one. Good, but yeah, let's try to elaborate on it. No? So that one is, where am I? Suspect. So, wait. Yeah, the suspect began to suspect his own memory. No? Feel the difference between the noun version of the word as well as its corresponding verb. Now, when it comes to noun versions, if you remember what I mentioned earlier as well as yesterday, when it comes to enunciating the word, we try to enunciate on the first word only. Okay, and of course, includes some complete references. There's so many online that you can follow. Okay, all right, that's that. So the suspect began to suspect his own memory. So we stress on the first syllable, suspect, like saying, I saw the suspect at my house yesterday. So suspect here, it's considered as a noun, no? Suspect, first syllable is stressed here. Suspect with the stress on the first syllable. That's what's her name again? I forgot. But yeah, it refers to a person, everyone, someone under suspicion, perhaps in a police investigation. That's suspect. Okay. All right. For suspect, um, we shift into its verb form. Okay. Suspect. I suspect. So the stress syllable is pect. No, with the stress on the second syllable. Let's try to do that. Here it means to doubt, of course, to start thinking that something might be wrong or unique. I don't know what happened, but the lights went off. Okay? All right. So in this one, one short sentence, we still shift to vocabulary. Maybe, no? Let's just see. Okay? The suspect began to suspect his own memory. So this in this one short sentence, we move from talking about a person, which is the suspect, to describing his maternal doubt, a figure for that. So we also do that, no? Because in this one a short science, this is a short science. We're trying to move from talking. We're trying to move from them talking. Okay, they're still growing their hairs, of course. So yes, we shift to the verb from suspect. That's the verb. Second, or the start of promotional ones, suspect, because it's still labeled. Okay. All right. Okay. That's good, everyone. Okay. That's good. All right. I think for today's session, for a moment, let me see what's the other one. Yeah, it's more on suffixes, and suffixes will be a very long or lengthy topic that we are going to tap into. Okay? So for today, let's just, we are focusing on word stress by part of speech, as well as continuing with word stress with a short activity. Okay? I just want you to give a thumbs up, maybe a heart if you agree, and then of course thumbs down if you do not. Okay? So let's try to record with something strong. Increase and let's have another word, something with an obvious, obvious drill. Okay? This one. Content. Again, content or content. Now we shift to the we have eight. We have eight. We have its noun. Content, the first syllable. So it makes you learners, very, how do you call that? It's particular. It's the same picture that we have, that he has on his gallery. So content versus content. Okay, we shift to the verb from suspect. Content here with the stress on the second syllable. Content here, it means I'm truly satisfied, something like that. Okay, that's content. All right, let's try to focus on another key area maybe. So here, still on the same topic, still not topic, still on the same word, but this time this pair is especially helpful when teaching intonation and emphasis that mirrors meaning. We cannot really deny the fact that when it comes to this, mirroring is the best option. Okay. All right, that's good. So yes, for that, maybe we can discover some things. Okay. All right, that's good. And then the last one, what's it? Content versus content. So you'll be talking about that one. Okay. All right, that's it. So that's content versus content. So far, let's try to say the words with the difference in its meaning. Address, content, decrease, increase, export, object versus objective. Okay? Because, okay, that's that. So we have again object versus object. So that's that. Rebel versus rebel. Word stress patterns like word and then deserve. I don't know. But yeah, we have already talked about word stress patterns, but it's just the first part of it. We have already talked about word stress by part of speech. So there's more reporters for, not reporters, but topic presenters tomorrow, okay? Or discussant tomorrow. All right? Okay, that's good. So that's for today. We've, how do you call that? Let's try to say the sentences, no? On its own. I'll record a song on that old record. I'm sorry. I'll I'll record a song on that old record. Please present your present before the cake arrives. My concrete plan is written in the contract. He threw the object but didn't object to the rules. The suspect began to suspend his own memory. Okay? Finally, we have, what do we have here? Okay? Yeah. There's a, no, why am I on suffixes? Sige. Okay? All right. Where are we? This one. He threw the object but didn't object to the rules. The suspect began to suspect his own memory. That is on this one. No? Subtle differences between the two depending on where you put the stress in the word. Okay? All right. And I think that's a wrap up for today, everyone. We're going to continue with still on word stress tomorrow on our last day for the week. Okay? So yes, this is for today. I hope everything's clear to you. If there are any questions, um I can always entertain it in my CNU mail, or you can ask me directly if we're friends on Facebook, okay? All right. That's good. Thank you so much again, everyone. I hope you've learned I hope we've learned something new for our topic in for topic for our how do you call that, for our title for our album. So it will be out later on. Not my album, okay? For the album of another person. That's just a hypothetical situation that I am using so that there's really this not relevant, not, there's relevance, but not that closely relevant to us, okay? A hypothetical situation. So there's more of that hypothetical situations tomorrow in our discussion as well as on our later or future sessions, no? I tried to include some hypothetical situations to make it more solid, to make it more really to help with your understanding. That's just it. Okay? So that's it for today, everyone. That's a wrap up. Thank you so much for your participation, for your presence of mind, for your presence alone here. I hope everything's clear to you when it comes to stresses between stresses, two versions of pronunciation of a word where the stresses is on different, different syllables. May it either be the first syllable or the second syllable. When we say the first syllable is stressed, usually, okay, usually but not always, it's usually noun, while for the second syllable is stressed, it's usually a verb, or yeah, a verb. Okay, so that's it for today, and I'll see you tomorrow on our last day session for the week. Okay? Goodbye and have a great rest of the night ahead, everyone. Good night.